Well, the Congressional Western Caucus has advocated for agriculture for more than 30 years. And in today's Champions of Rural America, we're turning our attention to Idaho for an update on efforts to address economic and environmental needs of the farm community. Congressman Mike Simpson joins us now with the latest. Congressman, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you joining us. Let's start with your top priorities for Idaho's 2nd Congressional District and how you're working really to address the economic and infrastructure issues that face rural residents.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. And one of my top priorities has been for the last 20 years is trying to resolve the ag labor issue. Every farmer I talk to throughout the district, throughout the country, their number one topic is a legal workforce and trying to address that. So we've introduced a bill called the Ag Workforce Modernization Act. We've passed it in the House twice over previous years. We've never been able to get it through the Senate. So we're working very hard to get that done now so that we can help agriculture with the labor shortage. And people will say, well, a lot of these people came illegally, you just need to deport them all. And my response has always been, how much are you willing to pay for a gallon of milk? It will be very expensive if we let all these people go. So that's one of the top priorities that I'm working on. And then, of course, I'm working on a lot of the environmental issues that affect public land states like Idaho. Idaho has 64% federal land, so there really are land managers in Idaho. And we want to make sure that they have the resources to manage the forests and the other public lands efficiently and do a good job. So those are the things I'm working on mainly.
Well, Congressman, as you said, from ag labor to land, and of course out west, it's something that you deal with quite a bit out there. We often say here on RFD TV, they're not making any more land. So that balance of protecting the environment while allowing development and land use, maybe speak to that a little bit and how you plan to handle that.
Well, most public lands are put out, are in the western United States. As I said, Idaho is 64% federal land. That means we deal with the Forest Service and the BLM and those agencies, the Park Service, the Fish and Wildlife Service, because they manage our public lands. Now, Idahoans live in Idaho because, frankly, we love our public lands. We like to be able to recreate on them. We like to be able to hunt and fish. And we don't want to have to ask somebody if we can cross their land to get to our favorite fishing hole. And there have been proposals to sell public lands in the West. I disagree with that. As I said, Idahoans live in Idaho because we love our public lands. So we're going to keep advocating for that. But we have to make sure that those organizations that manage them, Forest Service, BLM, and et cetera, that they have, the resources to do it, and they have active management on our forests. As you know, as you've seen the last several years, we've had major fires throughout the West. And making sure that we manage our forests will help reduce those fires, and also making sure that we pay the wildfire fighters a wage that makes them want to come back, helps our recruitment and helps our retention with the Forest Service. So those are things that we're going to be working on in the Interior bill that we have been working on. I changed the way we fund wildfires. For some reason, we funded hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes as disasters. We didn't do that with the Forest Service. We didn't do it with wildfires, but they're as much a natural disaster as hurricanes are. So they should be funded the same way. And we changed that funding over the last couple of years. So now it's going to be interesting to see how that's working out and how that addresses both the overall Forest Service budget, and how they attack the wildfires.
Well, Congressman, expanding a little bit more on these forest fires, I understand, we talk a lot to our ranchers here throughout the country that they talk a lot about expanding grazing on forests and public lands, and it's a good approach to reducing wildfire risk. Your thoughts there?
I think that's absolutely true. I've talked to every forest chief since I've been in Congress, and I've always asked them, is grazing a good fire management tool? And they said it's an essential fire management tool, because they can determine where these fires spread, where they go, how they go up different valleys and hillsides and stuff, and they can graze those and reduce the grasses and stuff that cause these wildfires. So grazing is an essential part of controlling wildfires.
Well, Congressman, before I let you go, your state specifically, very diverse agriculture, producing more than 185 commodities along with livestock production. Current challenges facing Idaho's ag industry and the policies that you're advocating in support of the farmers and ranchers in your district?
Well, there's two things we got to make sure, more than two actually, but making sure that our cattle ranchers can get their permits, because most of them graze on public lands, and getting the permits out and making sure that the BLM has the staff and personnel to get these grazing permits out on time. And then we need to make sure, as I said earlier, that we get a workforce that is legal and can address the concerns that the farmers have with their labor force. Trying to make that legal, trying to make it so that we're the third largest dairy producer in the country. And we have an awful lot of dairies that have people that have worked here for 15, 20 years that are just good people working. And so we want to reform the process of how we keep these people here without having to deport them and that type of stuff. So it's an important bill. I think, as I said, that's my number one priority in Congress, and it's one I'm going to continue to work on until we get it fixed.
Well, Congressman, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being here. And thanks for all that you do on behalf of the farmers and ranchers across the country. Congressman Mike Simpson of Idaho, again, thank you.